The moment Ruby's hands touched the old woman's back, she knew her entire life was about to end. The splash echoed through the garden like a gunshot. Water exploded upward as Claire's frail body hit the pool, and for 3 terrible seconds, Ruby stood frozen at the edge, watching the white-haired woman sink beneath the surface. The party sounds behind them seemed a million miles away. The champagne glasses, the fake laughs, the people who thought they were celebrating a business deal but had no idea they were standing on top of a bomb about to go off. Ruby's chest squeezed tight. What had she done? But before we continue, if you're already hooked by this story, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like on this video and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Are you Team Ruby or Team Claire? Let me know down below. Now back to the story. But here's the thing nobody knew yet. Claire wasn't just any old woman. She was the widow of Victor Kane, the CEO who built half the city's buildings and owned secrets that could destroy families, end careers, and burn fortunes to ash. And Ruby had just pushed her into the pool at Victor's own mansion during the biggest real estate party of the year. The water rippled. Claire wasn't coming up. Ruby's mind raced. Should she jump in? Call for help? Run? Her hands shook so badly she had to grip the stone edge of the pool to stay standing. She opened her mouth to scream, but nothing came out. Behind her, music pumped from the house. People danced, people drank. People had no clue. Then Claire's head broke the surface. The old woman gasped, coughed, and grabbed the pool's edge. Her eyes locked onto Ruby's, and in that moment, Ruby saw something that made her blood turn to ice. Claire wasn't scared. She wasn't angry. She was smiling. "You stupid girl," Claire whispered, water dripping from her chin. "You just destroyed everything." Ruby stumbled backward. I didn't mean to. You slipped and I... Liar!" Claire pulled herself up, sitting on the pool's edge like a queen on a throne despite her soaked dress. "You pushed me, and now everyone's going to know." "Know what?" Claire's smile grew wider, colder. "Everything." That's when the screaming started inside the house. Ruby spun around. Through the glass doors, she could see people running, phones out, faces pale. Someone shouted about the police. Another person yelled about lawyers. The party was falling apart like a building made of cards. "What's happening?" Ruby's voice cracked. Claire stood up, water pooling at her feet. For a 70-year-old woman who just got pushed into a pool, she looked way too calm, way too powerful. "My husband died 3 months ago. Everyone thought he was a saint. The man who built the city. The man who gave to charity. The man who smiled in every photo." Ruby's heart hammered. "What does that have to..." Victor had cameras everywhere. Claire pointed to a tiny lens hidden in the garden statue beside them. This house, this pool, this whole property, every corner, every room, every secret conversation, 30 years of footage, and I was supposed to keep it all locked away forever. That was the deal. That was how his empire survived after he died. Ruby felt sick. "But you pushed me, on camera, in front of witnesses who will come running any second." Claire wrung water from her dress, not breaking eye contact. And the system Victor built had one rule. One single rule. If anything violent happened to me, if anyone hurt me, if I died in any way that looked suspicious, every single video file would automatically upload to the cloud and send itself to every major news station in the country. The world tilted. "No," Ruby whispered. "Yes." Claire's eyes glittered. "You just triggered the release. Right now, as we speak, reporters are getting emails with videos of city officials taking bribes, judges making backroom deals, business owners paying Victor to destroy their competitors, married men in hotel rooms with women who aren't their wives, drug deals, money laundering, fraud, all of it. Everything Victor collected for 30 years to control this city." Ruby's knees gave out. She collapsed onto the cold stone. "That's impossible. Why would you set that up? Why would you destroy your own husband's legacy?" "Legacy?" Claire laughed, a harsh sound that cut through the night. "Victor destroyed me. He turned me into a prisoner in my own home. He made me smile for cameras while he built an empire on fear and blackmail. When he died, I thought I was free, but his lawyers told me the truth. The system was set up to protect his secrets forever. If I tried to release the files myself, I got nothing. But if someone hurt me, if something happened to me that Victor's cameras caught, then everything would come out and I'd inherit his entire fortune legally. Clean. No questions. Ruby's mind spun. So you wanted me to push you? Wanted? Claire tilted her head. No, I needed someone to. I've been waiting 3 months for the right moment, the right person, the right audience. But I could have killed you. Could you? Claire raised an eyebrow. You're a real estate assistant who weighs 100 pounds soaking wet? I'm old, but I'm not fragile. And I'm a very good swimmer. Ruby's stomach twisted. This couldn't be real. You set me up. This whole night. You made me. I didn't make you do anything. Claire's voice turned sharp. You pushed me all on your own. Let me guess. You thought I knew about your boyfriend sleeping with your sister. You thought I was going to tell everyone at the party. You thought pushing me was your only way to keep your secret safe. Ruby's face burned. How did she know? Victor taught me everything about reading people, Claire continued. He taught me how to find their weak spots, how to make them desperate, how to push them until they break. I saw you watching your boyfriend talk to your sister earlier. I saw your face. And I knew if I whispered the right words to you, out here by the pool, if I made you think I was about to ruin your life, you'd snap. The truth hit Ruby like a punch. You manipulated me. I gave you a choice. You made the wrong one. Inside the house, more shouting, glass breaking. Someone sobbed. The party had turned into chaos. Claire walked past Ruby toward the house, leaving wet footprints on the stone. In 10 minutes, this mansion will be surrounded by police and reporters. Victor's empire will be gone. His business partners will turn on each other like rats. And I'll finally be free. What about me? Ruby's voice came out small, broken. Claire paused at the door. You'll probably go to jail for assault. Maybe not. Maybe the lawyers will call it an accident. Either way, your life as you knew it is over. Just like mine was. Just like everyone in this house. She looked back, and for the first time, Ruby saw something almost like pity in her eyes. Welcome to the consequences of trusting the wrong people and making choices you can't take back. Then she was gone, disappearing into the house full of screaming, panicking people whose lives were exploding in real time. Ruby sat by the pool alone, wet from the splash, shaking from the cold and the fear and the horrible understanding of what she'd done. She thought about her boyfriend inside, her sister, her job, her life. All gone because of one push, one moment, one choice. But as sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer, Ruby realized something else. Something that made her chest tight and her eyes burn with tears that finally spilled over. Claire was right. This whole city had been built on secrets and lies and people hurting each other for power and money. Victor Kane had pulled the strings like everyone was his puppet. He'd made people choose between their morals and their survival. He'd turned neighbors into enemies and friends into weapons against each other. And Ruby had been part of it. She'd worked at Victor's company for 2 years. She'd delivered envelopes she wasn't supposed to open. She'd made calls she wasn't supposed to question. She'd kept her mouth shut while deals got made that hurt people, destroyed small businesses, kicked families out of their homes so Victor's buildings could rise higher. She'd told herself she was just doing her job, just following orders, just trying to survive in a city that chewed people up and spit them out. But that was a lie too. The sirens got louder. Red and blue lights flashed through the trees at the edge of the property. Ruby stood up on wobbly legs and looked at the house. Through the windows, she could see people scrambling, phones pressed to ears, faces twisted in fear and anger. She thought about running, just leaving, disappearing into the city and never looking back. But where would she go? The videos were out there now. Every dirty secret, every corrupt deal, every person who'd sold their soul to work with Victor Kane. That meant her too. Her name was probably in those files somewhere. Her face on some camera making a delivery, or sitting in a meeting, or typing up a contract that ruined someone's life. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The police cars pulled through the front gate. Car doors slammed. Officers shouted orders. Ruby walked toward the house slowly, each step feeling like she was walking through mud. Her mind kept playing the moment over and over. Claire's back, Ruby's hands, the push, the splash, the smile, that terrible, knowing smile. When Ruby reached the glass doors, she saw her boyfriend across the room. Jake, the man she'd loved for 3 years, the man she'd trusted. He was screaming at someone on his phone, face red, veins popping in his neck. Next to him stood Ruby's sister, Lauren, looking pale and sick. They saw Ruby. Their eyes met. And Ruby saw the truth written all over their faces. They weren't upset about the videos because of Ruby. They were upset because their affair was probably caught on Victor's cameras too. All those times Jake said he was working late. All those times Lauren said she was too busy to meet up. They'd been together in Victor's office building, in the hotel Victor owned, in the restaurant where Victor ate lunch every Tuesday. The cameras had seen everything. Ruby almost laughed, almost cried, almost screamed. Now hold on. I need to know what you're thinking right now. Comment below if you think Ruby deserves what's coming or if Claire is the real villain here. And if you're enjoying this story, smash that like button and share this with someone who loves a good twist. Don't forget to subscribe because we post stories like this every single day. All right, let's see how this ends. Instead, she just stood there while police officers flooded into the house, asking questions, taking statements, separating people into different rooms. An older cop with gray hair and tired eyes approached Ruby. "You Ruby Hill?" She nodded. "Someone said you were involved in an incident by the pool. That right?" Ruby opened her mouth. She could lie. She could say it was an accident. She could say Claire slipped. But the cameras had already told the truth. The videos were already out there. The whole empire was already burning down. "Yes," Ruby said quietly. "I pushed her." The cop studied her face. "Why?" "Because I was scared and angry and stupid." Ruby's voice cracked. "Because I thought I could fix my problems by hurting someone else, just like everyone in this city." The cop didn't arrest her right away. He asked more questions, wrote things down. Other officers talked to other people. The whole night became a blur of questions and statements and crying and shouting. But the thing Ruby would remember most happened 2 hours later when the crowd had thinned and most people had been sent home or taken to the station. She saw Claire one more time. The old woman sat in the living room, wrapped in a blanket, hair dried, looking smaller than before, but somehow stronger too. A lawyer stood next to her, talking quietly. Reporters waited outside the gates, cameras ready, hungry for the story of the decade. Claire's eyes found Ruby's across the room, and she nodded, just once. A tiny movement that said, "I know what you did. I know why you did it, and I know you'll never be the same." Ruby nodded back, because she understood now. Claire hadn't just destroyed Victor's empire. She destroyed everyone who'd helped build it, everyone who'd looked the other way, everyone who'd made the choice to be part of the machine that crushed people for profit, including Ruby. The police officer came back. "You're free to go for now, but don't leave the city. We'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow for a formal statement. Assault charges are possible depending on what Mrs. Kane wants to do." Ruby almost laughed at that. Assault charges. Like that was the worst thing happening tonight. She walked out of the mansion into the warm night air. Reporters shouted questions. Camera flashes exploded. But Ruby kept walking, past the pool where it all started, past the garden with its hidden cameras, past the gate, and into the street where normal people lived, normal lives that weren't falling apart. Her phone buzzed. Text after text. Jake saying they needed to talk. Lauren begging for forgiveness. Her boss asking where she was. Friends sending screenshots of news articles already posting online about Victor Kane's secret files. Ruby turned her phone off. She walked for hours through the city, watching the sun come up over buildings that Victor Kane had built. Buildings full of people who had no idea their landlord had been a monster. Their boss had been a criminal. Their city had been rotting from the inside out while everyone pretended everything was fine. When Ruby finally got back to her tiny apartment, she sat on her bed and stared at the wall. She'd come to this city 5 years ago with dreams. Big dreams. She was going to make something of herself. Get a good job. Save money. Build a life. Instead, she'd gotten tangled up in someone else's web. She'd made choices that hurt people. She'd stayed quiet when she should have spoken up. She'd pushed an old woman into a pool because she was more worried about her own embarrassment than what was right. And now everything was gone. Her job, her relationship, her reputation, her future. But as the sun climbed higher and the city woke up to the news of Victor Kane's empire imploding, Ruby felt something unexpected. Relief. Because the lies were over. The secrets were out. The people who'd built their lives on corruption and fear were finally getting caught. And yes, Ruby was one of them. Yes, she'd have to face consequences. Yes, her life would never be the same. But maybe that was okay. Maybe she needed everything to fall apart so she could build something real. Her phone buzzed again. She turned it back on. One new message from a number she didn't recognize. The truth always comes out eventually. The only question is whether you're brave enough to face it when it does. See. Ruby stared at the message for a long time. Then she deleted it, stood up, and looked out her window at the city stretching out below. Somewhere out there, Claire was probably giving interviews, telling the world about her husband's crimes, crying tears that might be real or might be fake, but definitely served her purpose. Somewhere out there, Jake and Lauren were probably fighting or making excuses or trying to figure out how to save themselves. Somewhere out there, politicians and business owners and all the people who'd made deals with Victor Kane were scrambling to do damage control before the videos ruined them completely. And here was Ruby, 26 years old, broke, scared, and completely lost. But also, for the first time in years, completely free. She grabbed her laptop and opened a new document. Her hands hovered over the keyboard. Then she started typing. My name is Ruby Hill, and I worked for Victor Kane. This is what I saw. This is what I did. This is the truth. Because if the whole empire was going to burn down, if everyone's secrets were going to come out, then Ruby wasn't going to hide anymore. She wasn't going to lie or make excuses or pretend she was innocent. She was going to tell her story. All of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And maybe, just maybe, by the time she finished, she'd figure out who she really was underneath all the fear and lies and bad choices. The city outside her window kept moving, kept breathing, kept living. Some buildings would fall, some people would go to jail, some lives would be destroyed. But the city would survive. It always did. And so would Ruby. Not the same as before. Not innocent or naive or full of big dreams. But real, honest, free. She typed faster, words pouring out of her like water from a broken dam. Every meeting she'd sat in, every envelope she delivered, every time she'd felt wrong about something, but did it anyway because she needed the paycheck. Every choice that led her to that moment by the pool when she put her hands on an old woman's back and pushed. The moment that ended one empire and started something new. The moment that destroyed everything and somehow set everyone free. Hours passed. The document grew longer. Ruby's fingers cramped, but she kept typing. Because this was her confession, her testimony, her way of finally facing the truth about who she'd been and who she wanted to become. And when she finished, when the last word was typed and the cursor blinked at the end of thousands of words of truth, Ruby sat back and took the deepest breath she'd taken in years. Then she attached the document to an email and sent it to every news station in the city. Because if Claire could burn down an empire, then Ruby could burn down her own lies too. And maybe, in the ashes, something better would grow. So what did you think of that ending? Was Ruby a victim, or did she get what she deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story gave you chills, hit that like button right now. Share this video with your friends who love drama and shocking twists. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we bring you powerful stories like this one every single day. And tell me, where are you watching from? What country? What city? I love hearing from you all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.